Yes, we're back. It's October. This is for you, Taurus. It's your general report from Lumination for October 2017. We're going to make the best of it, of course, like we always do. You're going to watch for your sun, moon, and rising, squish it all together, and rewrite your own story so that it all sounds good for you. These are your readings for you. Okay, so we're going to use this journey of the heart spread thing that we do here. And no jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. We're going to keep it very, very simple. Okay, cards were already well shuffled in advance, but I like to take it to the last minute so that you're a witness. You'll see as we go along. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining the spread and things like I do. Sometimes I get so carried away, but I want to keep it really simple for you guys now and just put all the attention on the story itself. So we are cut. We're ready to go. This is the core heart energy through October. Okay? We live in this continuum thing that we call time, where we have these things called the past, the present, and the future. You'll see what we're talking about in a moment. This is what you're bringing in with you. Okay? This could be legacy energy from past lives all the way up to this moment in time, or it could be just something from the last few days, few weeks, few months, whatever it is. It's your energy you're carrying with you already, loaded up with baggage or super light, whatever it is. And this is the energy of the ever-present now. This would be you like living through October in the ever-present now, on the understanding that from here you make your decisions about evolving or not. A lot of people don't like the energy of decisions, making decisions, having to make decisions. They rather outsource the decisions so they don't have to think about life. In other words, like, show me what to do, how to do it. Give me a nice religion package deal, or give me a nice corporate credo, or something like that. Anything so that I don't have to think or make my own decisions. Thank you very much. But you here are going to be making your own decisions, all right, Taurus? So that, of course, puts you at risk because you don't know what's going to happen. Decisions are time-based phenomenon. You're going to be looking into what we call the future, and there's risk and there's reward. There's joy, there's sorrow, all dependent on the outcome of the decisions. So how do we make healthy decisions that hopefully work for you, for all of us, okay? That would be here. And then if you subscribe to the idea that you create your own reality through your words, your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, then this would be the energy that you would have naturally attracted. But if you think life is out there and it's something that happens and then you have to interact, then this might feel more like fate, falling into your life. That's your choice. It's your perspective. I have perspectives too, but I wanted to offer both. Now over here, this is the joy and the sorrow that we spoke of earlier over here that comes as a consequence, or the risk and reward that comes with making decisions. So this is the energy of like, well, what if it what if it all works out? Wouldn't that be amazing? Or what if it doesn't work out? Oh no, oh no. And then this would be more like the momentum of where things are going and where things are heading, or maybe like outcomes, if you want to look at it that way. Now, can you see here the heart shape? That's what we're trying to do. Read from the heart, okay? And that would be at the very, very core right now, right there. Now we're also going to look at, and it's a journey, okay? We're also going to look at the card on the bottom here in just a second. That's what we call the weather. Anyway, it's just a convenient term. It's like energy that is surrounding the situation, the conditions, and you're going to hopefully make the best of it. You're not going to live at the mercy of the weather. I know that weather can have a strong impact on our lives. Really awful weather can make us feel awful. Really wonderful weather can make us feel wonderful. But that's living at the mercy of the weather. It would be nice if we could make the best of it, whatever the weather is. So see it as like a farmer would look at it. You just have to make the best of it, whatever it is. You've got the emperor. So, like, with the emperor energy out here, this is very strong masculine energy. I'm just kind of looking at it as energy rather than a person. So my feeling is that surrounding you, Taurus, through October here with this emperor energy It's very much a, it's not the oppressive type of emperor energy where it's uh, do as I do or else or anything like that. It's much more to do with, it's almost to do with absolute power, absolute dominion, where I feel it's like a very strong indication from your surroundings that it's really important that you really start to take ownership of the self at the very core level where you become the absolute master of your domain, your world, yourself, your identity, as opposed to this integrated thing. Of course, it's very important to integrate with humanity in your life and your world around you, but it's also very important that you don't dissolve yourself or get totally lost in the life in the world where you're simply living through action and reaction. Good stuff happens, you feel good. Bad stuff happens, you feel bad. The Emperor energy here, I feel, is all about saying, enough with that. It's time to take charge, take full ownership of self. Now, it might imply also that there's someone around you or there's situations around you which could be very, very challenging in ways that challenge you to take command, take absolute control of yourself, your dominion, and your world, all the way through every aspect of your life, body, mind, heart, and soul, and own it. And that might mean having to live by example. So you might be attracting people or situations or circumstances which are forcing you to rise up to this state of, let's say, emperorhood. Is there such a word? I don't know. Male or female, it doesn't matter. Forget the gender. What's at the core here? Okay, so with the Hangman here, we're coming off to the start with some big cards. So it might feel, Taurus, as though, like it or not, it might feel as though things are very, very fated right now. In other words, it's almost like you're, often when I see this card, I get that feeling of being disembodied, of having an out-of-body experience. And it can be extremely disorienting if it's not chosen. However, it can be extremely, let's say, useful or very, elucidating if it's a chosen posture. In other words, if you're deliberately allowing yourself to live your life as you are living your life, and at the same time being a very conscientious, deliberate observer of your own life. You know, when you have that disembodied experience of self, like sometimes when you're in a state of shock or a big car crash or something where you've had maybe some shocking news, whether it's good or bad, but it's very, very strong, it's very shocking, where your body seems to disembody from itself. And then there's you, and then there's your spirit you observing you, watching your life as though you're watching a movie of yourself. That's what I'm feeling here. And I don't feel that this is too challenging for you. I feel it's as though you're actually kind of comfortable with that. It's almost like you're saying to yourself, it's okay. I can handle this right now. It's very disorienting. I might feel a little bit weird about what's happening and how it's happening, but it's okay. It's likely that I need this in order to tap into and understand what people are talking about, like love yourself first. Uh, it's one of the things we do on Tarot Illumination. Loving oneself is the ultimate thing because then it allows you to be loving for others. So be loving and be loved, then it could be put into action. So if there are very strong forces or personalities or people in your life right now who are either encouraging you to rise up to this, it might be extremely demanding on you. In other words, you might feel that, is this even attainable? Is this even possible? Does this even exist? Do I have a right to do that? You might have been living such a humble, kind, generous way that you never thought you had the right to this kind of dominion of self, where you have a right to be you. You have a right for things to work for you in such a way that, yes, you do allow for everyone else to live their own life in their world, but ultimately you do have the right to live your life for you. And without without shame, without apology. Okay? And it might be disorienting for you, and it might take a lot of conditioning and, let's say, reformatting, reprogramming of your life in your world to understand that and to own that. Understand that you do have the right to be that way. It just might be very disorienting for you, but you're allowing yourself to go through the disorienting process. In other words, you're accepting that things might be very um, disorienting right now. So what are you bringing in with you? Oh, gosh, this is beautiful. So from here, at Tarot Lumination, for you, Taurus, it feels like there's some kind of magic ingredient that is going on here where it's almost like you've got this in your pocket. It's almost like deep, deep, deep down inside, you know exactly what we're talking about here at Tarot Illumination, and you've already kind of got a glimpse of it, and you understand that it is something that you have a right to own. You have a right to be happy. You have a right to happiness. You have a right to own your happiness from the inside out. And so coming into October, you could be coming in here with not only like the observation of this bizarre experience that's happening to you, because you may never have been aware of happiness in this form before, where it's actually something that is deeply, deeply, deeply bedded in your soul, and it was there all along. It just might have been deep, very covered up by previous ways of existence that are becoming obsolete. And you're realizing it now because of this very, let's say, disorienting uh, perspective, where you realize, oh my gosh, I really truly do own happiness at the very core of my being, and that is the essential ingredient that can possibly allow me, Taurus, to rise into my own sense of self. This is absolute full dominion of self, full mastery over individuation, where you are a complete being. You don't have to answer to anyone or anything except yourself. But of course, that's a huge responsibility because there's a tremendous amount of power that comes with this uh, this much stature. You know, with so there is a little bit of a caveat here. You just might be very disoriented at the moment on the realization that, my God, I really do own this happiness. It's the happiness of home, family, friends, loved ones that you share with them and that they share with you. And it's real and it's true. So it's very beautiful. And you're bringing that with you and you own that. You own that. It might not be huge quantities, but you own it at the very, very core of your soul and very core of your being. And you are witnessing that you own this. And it could be a massive revelation to you. Very, let's say, a very spiritually enlightening experience where it's like, again, this light bulb moment where you realize this is almost shocking. I've heard about this. I've perhaps wished for this and dreamed this, but now it's actually now happening. I own this. It might just be like in microscopic amounts, like you might have, discovered gold. But where there's one little nugget of gold, there's usually more. That's the beauty of this card here right now, Taurus. So what about the ever-present now? Oh, oh gosh, I don't know what to say. So just having that one little nugget, just that one little nugget that you've discovered that exists at the very core of your being, it can release tremendous joy because you know now that it's real. Happiness is a real life phenomenon. It exists. It's not just a theory. It's not excitement that comes to you as a stimulation. It doesn't require any kind of external events or experiences or expectations to happen. It just exists because it exists. And when you come to that realization, kaboom, bam, this magic light bulb moment, it's suddenly you feel like I'm freaking loaded. I'm a multimillionaire when it comes to love and happiness. It's almost like this is a theory coming true. And again, do you see the parallels here between the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles? It's almost this is like infinite wealth, infinite abundance, and it already exists inside you in your world. And now you've just discovered this, and you're on a process of discovery, and it's only just beginning. It's absolutely beautiful for you, Taurus. So it's feeling like I actually own that, and it is so valuable. This one little nugget of joy is worth 10 times that. Uh, and it multiplies and grows, and it's something that can be shared. Other people can sense it in you, and you can share that with others, and there's an infinite supply because you've struck gold. You have literally struck gold, Taurus, and it's inside of you. Kaboom. And who knew? Maybe it took you all this time to discover and find out. So now, of course, that makes you extremely valuable. That makes you rich. So what do we do now? Oh, gosh. Okay, so you can use that either in little quantities or little nuggets at a time to do a lot of soul healing. Deep, deep, deep soul healing here, Taurus, because this might be something that you are owed, perhaps for many, many lifetimes that have accrued over and over again, where this is the lifetime now, where you get a chance to love and be loved, to be valued and to value. And it might be a shocking awakening to you that is happening right now and that you deserve this, but this is what's going on. So making that decision, realizing that a lot of this moving forward, like going through October, knowing that you're rich, knowing that you're loaded, knowing that you are wealthy from the very, very depths of your core, from the inside out. Even if your like pockets are just have change inside them, you still own the love, you still own the happiness, you still own the abundance and joy inside of you. Nobody can take that from you. And so it's like, well, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do now? Well, we make a decision. What you need right now is healing. Deep, deep, deep healing at the soul level. And that could include uh, working in alignment with a soulmate. Do you see this little tiny stained glass window here? You probably can't see it too well, but there's a beautiful little soulmate couple in here, and they love each other very, very, very dearly. And I think of this relating very closely to the Two of Cups card, where a lot of the most profound and ultimate healing happens in the context of deep, loving, intimate relationship, where one mate is the healer to the other, and the other mate is the healer to the other. And they both become healers to each other. And that can happen in a chosen relationship with the right people. So it's very, very beautiful. So it's like making a decision to go into a condition, time period of deep self-healing, especially on the understanding that this is part of what it means to become fully individuated, like the ultimate arbiter of self, where you are the owner of yourself. And that can only happen through, you don't force this to happen. You're doing this internally by going through deep awakenings that you already own the happiness from the inside. And there's a lot of healing that needs to occur, so a lot of self-healing. And it's probably going to happen best in the context of a very dearly loving significant other who might be going through a similar experience themselves, where they need a lot of deep, deep healing themselves, in which case a very profound soulmate relationship might be the best circumstances and conditions for this to happen. Um, this is not a soulmate relationship reading. It's not a love and relationship reading. It's just general, big, wide, broad energy. So hopefully, Taurus, you're going to understand that in some way and rewrite it to fit in with your life in more specific terms. So let's just say you've made a decision that, given your understanding and awareness now about all the healing and the value, the joy and the happiness that you own, and it's very evident, and it's obvious to others and it's now physically obvious to you, this gives you permission and like the wealth and the resources that you need to go into a long-term deep self-healing process here. So how do we do that effectively so that it works and sticks for the long term? Well, let's just say that you formalize it, okay? All right, let's just say you decide to turn this into a practice where not only do you seek out the highest levels of learning and understanding that need to be incorporated and brought into your ways of being. Perhaps if you have to reach out to another or associate with others who are already operating at this level, there's no harm in that. In which case, you can learn the code. You can now, in your process of self-healing, it's almost like deliberately switching yourself off and plugging into the grid of the great beyond, if you want to call it that, plugging directly into the energy of heaven and allowing the healing power of love to move deeply into your life to the point where you understand it as a process, as a system, as an experience where it actually has a code. In other words, oh my gosh, this isn't something that you just talk about. It is actually a real life phenomenon. And it has a code and a process about how it works. And you turn that almost into a mission where, like, in order to move forwards healthily so that you keep the health and you keep the happiness and the abundance and the richness, having now become aware of it, keeping it, owning it for the long term implies a dedication to continuous self-healing, especially in the context of a significant soul relationship here, where it's very much a mutual self-healing dynamic, to the point where you learn a tremendous amount in the process, and then at the end of it, you actually own it. It never actually ends, but you do own it. So you can become like a master of self-healing and a master of healing in that own way by owning it inside yourself first. It's not something that you have to go out there and anything. You're actually living it. You're by living through the experience of deep self-healing, deep soul healing. You understand almost like in the sleep state. Like you see here with the little, how you are in a state of almost like transcendental meditation here. It's almost like you learn the code while you're in this transcendental state of deep soul healing. And you incorporate that code into your being to where it is laid down like the 10 Commandments. And that becomes a way of life, a code of life, a way of being that is irrefutable and it trumps anything and everything else. And so by owning that, it becomes integrated into your full being. Okay? You see where we're going here? So that you own it and you become the master. Okay? So what does that like instill? What does that bring to you in terms of a personal experience? Okay, it's an awakening. I feel here it's an awakening that, my gosh, it's almost like now that you're getting the awareness that this ultimate happiness, this little nugget of gold, which indicates that there's more gold, is there. It's real. It's inside you. You've come to this stark awakening that that's what it really is, which triggers this immense sense of wealth and richness. Like, my gosh, I really have struck gold. Now is my chance to make the best of it. And the first and the foremost thing is deep self-healing, bringing it in, owning it, literally understanding it in terms of energy, and then being able to translate it into your own version of the 10 Commandments that works for you. And that could work for others too, like a universal code of healing, the energy of love and healing, the healing power of love. It's almost like you could write about it. And then here, it brings you to an awareness that, my gosh, you had been so innocent for so long. And that's beautiful because you needed to know that, because if you thought you knew everything in advance, then what's the point in being here? So it's very, very beautiful. It allows you to be very humble, and because it takes a tremendous amount of humility to put yourself in this posture where you admit that there's a lot you don't know and that you need to know, and then the only way it can happen is by coming to you through spirit from heaven above. Going through this, like this is a serious reality check here, bringing it down, owning it, locking it into yourself, your being, your life, your body. You can come to an awakening of what real love is in terms of, let's say, person to person, or in your life, in the daily expressions of life. Little things like, how do you interact with people at the grocery store? How do you interact with your siblings or coworkers or mates or spouses or boyfriends and girlfriends? And you can see it all from a new perspective where you can now realize, I was so innocent, but now I'm so rich, uh, with all this self-healing that's going to go on. I have so much more to learn, and it's just going to add to the gold. It's just going to make you feel even more wealthy, because you're going to discover one more little cup at a time, and it all adds up. There's more gold. There's more gold, and you're definitely out looking for it to find it, and you will find it because it's already there inside of you. So it's like literally being a gold prospector, where you're actually just, in other words, the mystery here, uh, the thing that the little page of cup is trying to understand is, what is all this love? And you realize it's already there inside you because you're made of love. You, Taurus, are literally made of love. It's your raw ingredients. And the thing is, you don't have to go out and get that happiness. It's there inside of you. And so it's all about, like being a gold miner, you remove all the rubble. You go out there like a prospector and you look for it and you find it because it's already there. It's just hidden. A lot of the times, our gold is deeply hidden inside us, and it can stay there buried forever if we don't remove the obstacles. So, what happens if it doesn't work? Well, if you don't apply what you now know, it could leave you feeling impoverished. It's very, very important that you choose the right company going forward from here. So what if it does work? Let's just say, let's spin this into the positive. It removes incrementally, the more and more gold you discover, the less and less you feel impoverished. That's how I'm feeling it here for you. Okay, Taurus? So, but there is a sense, I feel that there's a sense of warning here. It's like when you're making these decisions regarding deep soulmate relationships and how all the abundance and wealth and happiness is starting to be exposed in your life, and you're realizing in some ways you had been extremely innocent and that there's a lot to learn, and then you start to realize a lot of the outcomes to our sense of joy and happiness in life, in terms of how we feel it in our physical bodies, is to do with uh, our relationships. When you surround yourself with talent, and what it's indicating here is make very sure that you surround yourself with very, very appropriate relationships that are a reflection of your own love and happiness. Otherwise, you can end up in a state of impoverishment. In other words, surround yourself with talent. Pentacles and discs represent talent, resources, wealth, gifts. So surround yourself with the good people, the people who love you, the people that you love, okay? Otherwise, you would end up impoverished. And it would be like um, being a gold prospector who's just given up and thought, oh, well, I thought it was all over. I guess it feels all over, so it is all over. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's very important to understand the decisions that you make in the company that you keep. So where does that take you? Okay, so on a journey here, okay, so we have this wonderful energy here, but it can also now lead you to a point where, let's say with this degree of innocence here, and the possibilities of, like what could go wrong if you make poor decisions, especially when it comes to deep soulmate relationships that have a direct impact on your own self-healing, you get to a point where it's actually kind of scary to realize how much of this experience and ownership of so much happiness and joy and wealth and abundance rests upon the decisions of the relationships that we maintain. And now it's with this reading here, I feel like I'm trying to tell you, like, trust your gut, trust your intuition. Don't be scared what your intuition is telling you. Don't be scared of where the eclipses are taking you, Taurus, because we're all dealing with the scary feelings of going through energies that we don't understand as we all go on our own evolutionary paths. And on your evolutionary path, now that you've struck gold and you understand you have a right to self-healing, now it becomes starkly aware that by creating new codes and new set of commandments that work for you, you're going to be exposed to your own naivety, your own innocence, or how you might have impoverished yourself in the past, and how you're going to have to trust much more deep down into your deep soul consciousness as opposed to your, let's say, simpler waking world around you that is just there, like the furniture. You know how a lot of times in life we can live in ways that everything is there and it's good and it's bad, but it's essentially like it's just there and it becomes furniture. The people become furniture. The experiences, the environment, everything is just furniture. Whereas in fact, there's a tremendous energy inside that and beyond that. But now it's time to tap into that and tune into it and trust the deep, deep soul calling, the unconscious energy, and not be scared of that, because that's what's going to happen in order to move forward. So don't be scared of the deepest intuition, the callings, as it takes you further and further on your path of discovering more gold. Just understand very carefully about the choices being made in relationships. I hope that makes sense for you, Taurus, okay? The journey doesn't stop. It's just going to keep going, but it might mean you're going to have to go deeper and deeper into deep soul energy than you've ever done before in order to honor this and make the best of all of this. All right, Taurus, I hope you get the best out of this. Rewrite your story to suit you, reinterpret however you want, watch your sun, moon, and rising. Thank you so much. Have a super, super October. Bye. Bye.